Hey guys, this is Neagat, and welcome to another match of Littlewargame. Today we're playing on Cursed Temple. Yeah, playing on Temple. I am playing the red pieces in the bottom left corner, and my opponent here is playing Silverboss in the bottom right corner. I think the most interesting thing about this map is this pathway that's right through the center. I think it's pretty good for people that like to cheese because they can basically be at their opponent's second and main base in a matter of seconds based off this pathway here. So that'll be pretty interesting. Just be pretty interesting to look at. Looks like my opponent is going for a standard racks play where you go house into racks and then eventually you go into expand. Whereas I'm going for a castle first build. This is actually something that's kind of interesting because um, yesterday's video, I basically explained how I needed to make sure I worked on my game because last week, well, I think a video I did either yesterday or 2 days ago was titled Drops, and that was a build where I did the standard opening with raiders, and then afterwards I teched into airship, and then I dropped a clump of army into their mineral line, and usually that harassment led me to get a pretty safe third base, and then it eventually led me, to get an even larger army where I could produce more, and then move on from there. But recently, I found this other build. I played a ranked game, and someone went. Oh no, it wasn't a ranked game. I think I played three normals with a guest, and he consistently beat my opening with this early castle, and so that was interesting. I think I'm going to make a video on this opening really soon to see which one's considered to be better. Um, if it's better to have this economic opening where you have more workers, more castle, or if it's better to go for the standard opening, because already you can see my opponent is harassing me and he's going for the standard play. So at this point, standard is really really harassing me, really beating my butt right now. So it'll be interesting to look at. Now my opponent is going for his second castle, whereas I have two. But then again, I'm losing workers here. Go ahead and take out the units lost. So I've lost two workers at this point, and he's probably about to make it three if he blinks. Nope, he can just kill the guy. So I've lost three workers at this point. It's pretty rough. But once I get this stuff up, hopefully I'll be able to be back to normal. So this raider play is absolutely crushing me. He's gotten 150 plus lost mining time. So absolutely crushing me. I finally get this tower up for defense. I think it's pretty good because it covers my workers and some of this front line here. And then I decide, I'm going to send a wolf just to be at this choke point where I can scout if he's going to send his raiders again. But at this point, my opponent, he gives me the space so that I can, so he doesn't have to deal with this tower. But then that also allows me to kind of get greedy, and we'll see how that goes in just a little bit. He's got three raiders at this point. It's a healthy amount of raiders. You can one-shot workers with. Takes 3 hits with the raider to one-shot workers, so if he sends that in, he can one-shot things. This wolf is here. He can one-shot that wolf, it looks like. So he kills that. He's got a pretty good defensive force compared to what I have. So at this point, I decide to send a wolf over, and I build myself a third base. So this is kind of greedy because I don't have an army at home. But neither does he really. It's kind of at that early point in the game where neither one of us really has too many units to speak of. So I'm trying to tech up. I want to get snakes because those are really good in conjunction with wolves. And you can see here he's trying to be aggressive. He wants to use those raiders, but I know to split my units and to use my tower to my advantage. So he can't really attack my units close to my tower, or else he'll lose that engage. And at this point, I've got my third tower set up, or my third castle set up and running, while my opponent is still on two castles. But he's got a pretty nice and healthy army, whereas I've got some army going on. At this point, we're both going for workers and building up. But I think this is pretty interesting. He's got an advanced workshop, and he is building a airship at this point. Oh, and it looks like he has some raiders queued up to go in that that airship. So that'll be that'll be pretty exciting, I think. I've seen raider drops before. Um, they're usually devastating, absolutely devastating. They can kill a worker line pretty quickly. All right, so let's see how my opponent decides to go about this. At the same time, looks like I'm going to move out. He killed my wolf earlier, so I knew he was going for a third base, so I wanted to stop him from being able to do that and really restrict him to 2 bases. Especially as a beast player, you're supposed to have map presence because you have higher maneuverability. You should have more units because they're cheaper and more expendable. At the same time, looks like he's going for his raider drop, and I don't see this because obviously I'm busy microing this fight. But he is there, and he's absolutely killing my workers here. We're gonna keep an eye on that. At the same time, he's got his tower up, so I decide, okay, I gotta bring back my units. Finally respond to this threat, and I move my workers over. But again, this tower is in the way, so can't really attack. I realize that at this point, Silverboss is going to figure out I have a third base, and he's going to try and drop there. And so now he knows, okay, he sees workers, he knows that I'm on a third base. So I quickly try and get my units over there to try and combat the threat of he's got raiders, and great, now they're in my third base, so gotta figure that out. Units are on the board. But yeah, this is pretty rough, and I'm producing and I'm moving units over. It's just pretty rough in the sense of he dropped it, and he really hurt my workers in the sense of killed a bunch of workers and lost mining time. So he's killed 12 of my workers to where I have killed none of his workers, and he's in a pretty good spot in the sense of he hasn't really lost too much. But I've only lost 500 more, and we've both accumulated roughly the same amount of money. But I know at this point he's on 3 bases. I couldn't really stop him from getting to that point. What I could do is send these units over again and try and assault that position. I actually think if I did that right now, I would be able to get it. But my mind is focused on getting this 4th base here. Looks like my opponent is still going for raiders. Maybe another raider drop is in his mind, which is it's not a bad idea. His first one was really successful, I think. So that's good. Good thing is I have units that these beast units are very maneuverable, and thus I can do things. Looks like he decides to go for a frontal assault. Okay, so this will be interesting. So like I said, this is a very short pathway. It's got this narrow corridor. For a beast player, you could really flank this and do a lot of damage. But I don't have units set up because I have this attack going to his 3rd base set up. So I'm really not prepared for an assault. I didn't know that he got catapults at all, but what I do know is that all my reinforcements are coming straight to this fight. As you can see, my wolves are, moving over these houses here. They're trying to get into the fight, and the fight begins right here, right now, kind of thing. At the same time, my run by is pretty successful. I'm killing a lot of his workers now. Oh, 2, 3. I will keep an eye on that tab there. Killing 7 and even more workers. But at the same time, he's really assaulting my my main base. He's destroying my production, my house. But I feel like the threat of losing isn't imminent, because at the same time, I'm absolutely ravaging his base. And then I have my 4th going on. So that's really interesting to see. At this point, I've killed 15 of his workers, so I've killed more of his workers than he's killed of mine. And you can see, based off the actions per minute, we are both really, microing a lot of things. We have our attention everywhere, and he decides to retreat and focus in back on protecting his main base. He doesn't want to lose this base, because you see now he's only mining off of 2 bases now, where I'm mining off of 4, and losing a base would be absolutely the worst thing that could happen to him right now. So this is good. This is exactly what I want to happen as a beast player in this specific situation, where I really force him to be on the back foot, to really retreat, to really be stuck in his corner of the map, while I get all of the gold, while I macro up and get all my production. And so again, I kind of don't really care for the army that was here. I thought of it like as a throwaway army. I'm going to do as much damage as possible, and let's go ahead and take a look at the damage that I did. Yeah, so I did enough damage to the point where we are now even in damage or lost resources, but I am about 1,000 resources ahead of my opponent, because of the fact that I've been able to get more bases, trade semi-efficiently, and really just go all in. As you can see, my opponent attacks, and now he's got a bunch of catapults, and this is pretty good, especially against Beast. If you can have a front line like this, where catapults can absolutely wreck and do so much damage to you, it's just really good. I don't even remember that this was happening, because I was so focused on doing my strategy again, where I run by with my units, and then I deal with I take out his base with a smaller army, and then I just hold him at bay with another smaller contingent force. Those catapults, going into catapults, that's pretty strong there. And I try and get these watchtowers to try and deal with that. At the same time, I get upgrades to try and reduce my money. But while this is all happening, I should have been looking at the map. I should have had these towers up way before he even got there. While this is all happening, though, I'm consistently attacking with my wolves and really making a mess of his base. I finally get this tower up, which is great, because that helps deal with some of these soldiers. Ultimately, I think it's fine. I think if I lose this second base, I'm gonna be okay with that, because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bases up and running, and I don't need 6 bases in order to do well. I'm perfectly happy with what I have. And it looks like at this point my opponent has only 1 mining base. So even if I trade inefficiently, I'll still be okay. I didn't know this at the time, that he only had 1. I knew that he didn't have this base. I knew that he didn't have, any of these bases, because he would be overextended. But at this point, I knew. I'm trading efficiently. I've got so many bases. He's taking so much damage here. He's losing all these workers. I should be in a really good spot. I finally go for these upgrades, and my opponent says, lol, sad. Which, I guess, fair point. It is sad to lose to Beast, especially because it feels more annoying than anything else, right? Because, you have to deal with constant pressure from the Beast opponent, which, I try to make sure to do. But overall, game ends up in my favor. Um, Extremely well played by my opponent. I had I had a really fun time playing this guy, and you know, I had a great game. Being able to produce, being able to send armies. I think this is another one of those lessons that can be learned. Because, like I said, I'm just starting to get into this game. I think the first time I played this game was about a week ago, and now I'm making videos. I'm making trying to figure out strategies. How do I get better? And I think playing Beast, because I think this is my um, actually I think my replays are out of order, but I think this is my second game playing Beast. Um, it's interesting to see the different strategies that can exist. And my video tomorrow will be a replay of my very first time I played Beast. But it's really cool to see how all these strategies can work, how to get better, and I really hope you guys learned as much as I did. And if you did, please leave a comment saying what it is that you've learned. Um, if you enjoy my content, please leave a like. If you want to subscribe, I'm making videos daily. And I'm doing that because I'm really hoping that this game can become um, a really popular game. I want this game to be like the biggest RTS game in the world, kind of thing, even bigger than StarCraft. I think it can. I think it can be there. It's got enough depth. Um, it's got a lot of depth, and the community is amazing, and the people that are in charge of the game are putting in the work to make this game amazing as well. All right, guys. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you have a great day. Goodbye.